Hi everyone, my name is Dave Prisco. I work in the Career Center at LaSalle University. My role in the center is a career counselor, as well as I am part of the employee relations team. So I always like to start every presentation I give to students by saying that if you ever see employers on campus, or you see employers or know employers that you would like to see on campus but they're not currently here, please do let me know so that I can work with our employee relations team and we can try to get that employer on campus, or we can reach out to our alumni network and see if there's some alumni that we can connect you with. But in regards to today's presentation, we're going to go over the Job Shadow program. At this point, hopefully all of you have uploaded your resume and selected your host site, so hopefully you're going to be well on your way of being selected for a host site. But the reason why we're here today, not necessarily is to go over that process, but is to go over the process of how do you prepare yourself for that Job Shadow day, and how do you act during that day, and finally, what steps do you take after your Job Shadow is completed. So first, let's go over why we're here today. We're here today for the Job Shadow. What do the host sites expect out of you as a shadow? They expect that you are there because you want to learn about their industry. You have an interest, whether it's your major or whether it's your passion, but you want to learn about their industry. And you are there almost like a full day of an interview where you're going to be asking questions, you're going to be engaged, and you're going to be having a high level learning about what it takes day to day to work in that industry. So that's what they expect out of you. What should you expect out of your host site? You should expect that your host site is going to have you for 4 hours to 8 hours during that day. Part of their presentation to you is they're going to take you to lunch. Whether they order lunch in or they take you to lunch, that's going to depend on your employer, but expect to have lunch with them as part of this process. Also, you should expect that they are going to engage you in conversation and teach you what it's like to work in that industry. You should not expect to simply sit there, file, or watch them talk on the phone. That's not what this process is. This is supposed to be a very engaging process where you're going to learn and watch that alumni or that employer on their day-to-day activities and get to ask questions and interact with them during that process. So your goals. This is something I think is very important and very unique to the Job Shadow program. You should be very active in thinking about what your goals are that you want to learn to get out of this one-day presentation. You're going to be there. This is a very unique opportunity because you're going to be there inside of that company, getting to learn about that company. You're going to be there for multiple hours. You're going to be meeting a lot of different people inside of that company. Set up some goals about what you want to make sure that you learn. Make sure that those goals are realistic. If you are a nutrition major and you decide that you want to go on a nutrition Job Shadow program, do some research about that company ahead of time. Find out what kind of resources they offer and what resources are unobtainable. Don't set a goal for some lofty expectations for a company that might be a small nonprofit that doesn't have those resources. So make sure you do your research, set some goals up about what you want to learn during that process. Also, do some research on who works inside that company. Very big part of this is networking. That physical component of actually meeting someone is very crucial for when you want to go for an internship or a full-time job. So please do some research, see what LaSalle alumni might work there, what important people in your industry might work there, who do you want to make sure you connect with. And then once you have those goals, communicate that to your host site. Once you are selected, you are going to be in email communication with your host site to set up your date and to set up that day that you are there. Make sure you communicate what your goals are to your host site. Let them know what your expectations are. Don't demand things. We want to make sure that we're doing this in a professional manner, but make sure your host site knows what your expectations are, some of the people that you want to meet with, so they have time to schedule and see if some of those folks can join you for lunch or join you for a quick 30-second conversation or an introduction. So what is job shadowing? Hopefully at this point everyone knows what job shadowing is, but if you're not quite sure what you signed up for, this is a one-day or one-afternoon experience, kind of like a field trip. You are going to visit that employer. You're going to be with your host site for a day. You're going to be with this alumni or an employer and interacting with them, asking them questions. You're going to learn their job skills, their day-to-day responsibilities, the culture of that company. Most importantly, you hopefully will walk away saying, yes, this is an industry that I want to work in after I spent the afternoon with you. Or equally as important, you might walk away and say, you know what? this industry is not what I thought it was. Let me maybe reevaluate what I think my career choices are, what my career options are, so that we can help you have a successful and enjoyable career once you do graduate. So benefits of a job shadowing. The biggest benefit out of this is that it's a tremendous networking opportunity, and it's only a one-day commitment. This is not a full-time internship. You are not spending 40 hours a week for 16 weeks at this employer. You are spending one day. During this one day, you will get to meet and network with a lot of alumni. If they're not alumni, a lot of employer partners that are in the industry that you currently are interested in gaining employment in. You are going to have an inside view of what it's like to work in that company. You're going to see people on a typical day. This is not going to be staged. Any problems that pop up or anything that arises is going to be a normal process in that office. You're going to get to see how these employers troubleshoot that problem, who they might partner with to troubleshoot this problem. You're going to have a very high level experience about what it's like to work in that day while you're there shadowing. A typical job shadow day, we talked about this a little bit. I would expect you to be there anywhere between 4 hours to 8 hours during that day. You will have lunch with your employer. They were instructed to make sure to provide you lunch. If the employer offers to take you out to lunch or gives you a menu to order from, please don't order the most expensive thing on the menu. We do want to be realistic that some of these employers might not have unlimited resources. This host site might not even ask their boss to be paying for it. They might be paying for it out of their own pocket. It's okay to order a sandwich. It's okay to get a soda or a coffee. But don't order lobster, don't order steak. Be realistic to where you are and what environment you're in, and order something that will fulfill your needs for your lunch but not break the bank. Also, part of this is going to be a tour of the company. We're going to talk a little bit later on about what to wear, but I always like to point out now, especially to the females in the audience, depending upon how big this company is, you might be doing a lot of walking. So please make sure that you are wearing appropriate footwear. If you want to wear a heel, please do not make it more than 3 inches, but I would strongly encourage you to make sure that you wear flats so that you are making sure that you're able to walk and get the best part of that tour and really enjoy that tour. Also encourage you to wear closed-toe shoes. Some of these sites, especially if we're looking at public health or nutrition, might have strong health code regulations they have to follow, and a lot of these places might not allow you to have open toe as part of their dress code. So be aware of that. Always err on the side of caution, and I would encourage you to not have open toe, but to go closed toe. Another part of this is going to be that conversation with employees. Even though you only have paired with one alumni or one person in that company, you are probably going to interact with a lot of different coworkers, a lot of different employees. I don't care if it's the office manager when you first walk in the door or the CEO, you're going to interact with these people. Expect to have conversations with all of them. Even if it's a quick 30-second conversation where you smile, you say hello, and you introduce yourself, those are all valuable parts of creating your network, and I would do that with every single person that you meet. So how to prepare for the day? Number one, research. We talked about this before. You want to set your goals. You want to make sure that you research. Next, you want to make sure that you work on your professional presence and your professional attire. Your first impression matters. We're going to talk a little bit about how to have a nice introduction, but you want to make sure that you have a strong professional presence, a nice introduction, and you look good to go with the role. Also, make sure that you know where this place is. Know how you're going to get there. Are you going to drive? Are you taking Uber? Are you taking public transportation? What does a typical commute look like at the time that you're going to be driving? If you have to leave your house at 8 a.m. to get there by 9 a.m., look at the commute at 8 a.m. Don't look at it at 1 in the afternoon because it's probably drastically different. Make sure that you're looking at the appropriate schedule if you're taking public transportation. And also always plan on contingencies. Unfortunately, life happens sometimes. It's never a good sign to be late, but if you are stuck in a traffic jam or your train got stuck somewhere, that's not your fault. Those things sometimes happen. Because you're going to be in communication with your host site ahead of time, make sure you get that person's cell phone number, their office number, their contact information, so that if you are late because of something that's not any reason to you, but because of that traffic jam or because the schedule for SEPTA got screwed up, call the person, email the person, make sure that they are aware why you're going to be late and approximately when you will show up so that they can make they can adjust the schedule for that new schedule. So connecting with your employers. As I said, you are going to be able to have a communication with them prior to your host site. They will be reaching out to you via email. This is a nice way of presenting an email to them. This is going to be a very professional response, and it's going to be a very excited response because you are really pumped up for this shot of them. So the sample here is primarily a sample. You don't have to do this word for word, but I would encourage you in your communication to follow this sort of sample. And you're also going to be receiving a handout with this as well to your email. But follow this type of written sample when you're going in your communication. Always start out with Dear Mr., Mrs., Doctor, that person's name. If you're not sure if they're married, if you're not sure if they're a doctor, try to look on LinkedIn to see what degree they might have. If you're not sure there, always go with MS. MS is a good standard when you're not sure if a female's married. I would always encourage that, again, err on the side of caution. So research. We talked about this a little bit, but always take time to research the organization, the industry. If it's an alumni, know your alumni. It's good to know what products they produce, what their services are, who their competitors are. I can't stress the fact every company has a mission statement. Know why that company is in existence. Know what their mission is. Learn a brief history of the organization. Any kind of international or relevant local events that they might be a part of. Know these things. This will help your conversation so much during that interaction that you have during the day with that alum or employer you're connected with. So, professional presence, your first impression. It's sad to say, but we all make impressions in the first 30 seconds of meeting someone. You do this when you meet someone for the first time on campus. Your host site's going to do this to you whether you like it or not. Because you only have 30 seconds to make that positive first impression, you want to make sure you look good and you want to make sure that you practice your 30-second elevator pitch. Following the completion of this presentation, once we get notified that you have completed it, you are going to receive an email with some handouts. One of the handouts is going to be how do you present your 30-second elevator pitch. It's set up exactly like a Mad Lib if you ever did that when you were a kid. Has some blank spaces for you to fill in the blanks and a nice script for you to follow for that nice professional introduction. I can't stress enough, when you introduce yourself, keep it professional. Smile, be positive, make eye contact, have a nice handshake. If it's not in your culture to shake hands, that's okay. Come see us in the Career Center. We can help you design a nice professional introduction without a handshake. But if you are okay with having a handshake, if that does not violate any ethical guidelines or your culture, I would encourage you to make sure you have a nice firm handshake. What should you bring with you and what should you do during the beginning of that day? Have a portfolio. Have something that you can keep some business cards if you have your own business cards. Maybe print a couple copies of your resume, bring that with you. But most importantly, have a notepad so that you can take notes during that day. If you do decide to bring some resumes with you and to have, that's okay. Don't expect to hand those out, only have them on hand if you are asked to provide a resume. When you're standing or sitting, try to keep your arms open a little bit. Don't fold your arms. Don't look like you're hiding in a corner. You want to look like you're interactive. Turn off your phone for the day. If you want to take a selfie, if you want to put up a snapshot, that might be okay, but ask the host site first. Some of these sites might have some privacy concerns where they don't let their employees take pictures inside because of whatever their industry might dictate. You want to know that before you take a picture. So if you want to take a picture, if you want to take a selfie, ask permission. It probably is going to be okay, but we don't know until you ask, so make sure that you ask. Don't chew gum. Don't have a mint in your mouth during the conversation. It's okay during the ride over if you want to chew some gum to make sure you have a nice fresh breath, but make sure you disregard that before you get into the room. Speak clearly, take notes, engage with the entire office. This is very critical. I don't care if you think this is only the receptionist when you first walk in the door. That's a very bad mindset to have. The receptionist, the office manager, the CEO, your host, these are all very important people for why that organization runs. Be polite to everyone, have a nice, strong professional presence in front of everyone, Introduce yourself to everyone, shake everyone's hands. Again, if it's not in your culture, see us in the Career Center, we'll figure out a way around that handshake, but make sure you're doing those introductions. Don't be late. We talked about this already. If you're going to be late, make sure that you do reach out and you let them know appropriately and professionally why you're late and when to expect you. So what to wear? We're going to go a little bit about some of your attire. Men, I would strongly encourage you to wear a suit. Make sure the suit is not bright colors. A black, a blue, gray, those are all fine. Make sure you wear a tie with your suit. I know a lot of people don't like to wear ties. I don't like to wear ties. I wore a tie my entire life, all through Catholic grade school. As soon as I graduated, I swear I would never wear a tie, and now I have to wear a tie because that's what professionals do. It's okay to grow up and be a professional. I would encourage you to do that. Wear a tie. If you don't know how to tie a tie, come see us in the Career Center. We'll teach you how to tie a tie. We'll look up a YouTube clip of how to tie a tie. It's not that hard. Make sure that your suit is pressed. Make sure that the button down that you wear is pressed under that suit. Make sure your shoes are polished. There's nothing worse than when you have a great suit on, a nice tie, nice button-down shirt, and then your shoes are all scuffed up, or they're sneakers. Don't wear sneakers. Make sure you're wearing nice leather shoes for this. Make sure you polish those shoes. If you don't know how to polish shoes, you can go to any shoe store. There's a sponge that you can buy. It takes 30 seconds. You literally wipe it over your shoe. It'll give them a nice strong buff, and it will only cost you about $2. If you are wearing facial hair, that's probably okay. But make sure that you trim it up, make sure that it's not all shaggy, make sure you look presentable. If possible, clean shave is always a nice way to side on the air of caution, but if you do want to have your facial hair, if that's okay with the organization you're going to, make sure it's trimmed up. Make sure that you comb your hair during this item as well. You do not want to just look like you rolled out of bed, so make sure you comb your hair. Long story short, don't look like this guy. This guy was at a professional event when I saw him, and I made a joke and I said, can I take a picture of you to present to my students what you shouldn't look like? He was all for it. He wanted to pose for the picture. He wore this attire on purpose to show what you're not supposed to look like at a networking event. His tie is not professional. He didn't button the top of his collar. He didn't shave. He quite honestly looks intoxicated, but he wasn't. He was there to show what it looks like when you dress sloppily. This is why you don't want to dress like you just rolled out of bed. Wear this attire, don't look like this guy. Ladies, fairly similar. I would strongly encourage you to wear a suit as well. If it's great weather outside and you don't want to wear pants but you want to wear a skirt, that's okay. Make sure that you have stockings on underneath that skirt. Make sure that your shoes are appropriate. Make sure that that skirt is not too tight or too revealing. Make sure that it is long enough that is not something that you're going to be embarrassed about. You are going to be around professionals who dress professional at work. You're not going to a party. If it's something that looks good on Friday night, probably not appropriate attire to wear during this event. Dress professional. Don't overly accessorize. As you'll see, the person in this picture, she only has on one necklace. She doesn't have on a bunch of bracelets. She only has one bracelet on. She only has one watch on. If you have visible piercings, guys, I would strongly encourage you, don't have any piercings in. Ladies, if you have visible piercings, only one per ear. I would take the rest out. Both men and women, if you have any visible tattoos, cover them up for this event. You don't know what that employer's policy is on tattoos. You don't want to violate their dress code. So the easiest way to make sure you don't violate their dress code is cover up any visible tattoos. Also, ladies, again, I talked about this before, please don't wear heels. If you have to wear heels, make sure they're no more than 3 inches. You're going to be doing a lot of walking. Closed-toe flats are really the way to go. In terms of what not to wear for ladies, she looks good in all these pictures. If you were going to class, this is a very presentable way to take yourself to class. This is not attire that I would recommend for your job site of day. If you look in 2 of the middle pictures, she's wearing jeans. Not appropriate. Don't wear jeans. If you look at a couple of the other pictures, she has leopard print on. Don't wear animal print. Again, we want to look presentable. We want to look professional. Animal print's not the way to go. You also don't want to do bright, flashy colors. Yellow is probably a little too bright of a color, especially for some of these accounting firms or some of these more conservative firms might be there. Dress more conservatively. And if you look at the picture all the way on the right there, you're going to notice that she has a lot of necklaces on, probably too much accessories. Also tuck in your shirt. I know that there's some attire that's meant for your shirt to be untucked. Probably not professional enough if your shirt's meant to be untucked for this, so wear an outfit where you're supposed to tuck in your shirt. And this is a screen I'm going to leave up for a couple of seconds. This summarizes basically what I went over during the presentation. The man and woman that you see in this picture look professional. They look good. This is what is expected of how you look during your job site. One thing I also want to point out, ladies, is, I don't know if you can see in this picture, she is wearing stockings. So again, please, if you wear a skirt, make sure that you wear stockings. So I'm going to leave this up, take a screenshot, take any notes, and then we're going to go on in a second. All right. So just to finish up here, an important part of this job shadow day is the communication that you have with your employer. You want to make sure that you have a nice back and forth. You want to make sure that you're not just only being talked to, you want to make sure that you're asking some questions. Here are some sample questions that are good professional questions that you can ask during your job shadow. During your preparation, I would encourage you to create a list of questions you want to have answered. One of the questions that you might want to ask is, how many kids do you have? Do you have a pet? Those are things that might naturally come up in conversation. Hold those personal questions back. We want to make sure that your questions are professional based. Things like a typical day in your job. What experiences are helpful for new hires? What is this job outlook in the field? These are all great professional questions and all things that I would encourage you to engage your host with so that you have a better understanding of that industry. These are not the only questions you can ask. There's plenty of other questions you can ask. If you're not sure if those questions are professional, come see us in the Career Center. We can help you. Every day we have, from 1 to 3 p.m., we have open hours where you are free to come in. You don't need an appointment during that 1 to 3 o'clock time slot. Quick 5-10 minute conversation that we can have. We can go over the questions that you aren't sure about. If you have some attire and you're not sure if it's professional or not, take some selfies. Bring them into that open hour that we have. We can go over some of those pictures. If you don't have professional attire before you go out and buy something, come see us in the Career Center. We have a lot of different suits, both men and women, that you can go through and you can borrow, and hopefully something will be in your size so you don't have to go out and spend money. If you're not sure where the Career Center is, we're located right on the first floor of Founders Hall. Founders Hall is the new building on campus. Walk in. If you're looking at the elevator, look to your right. We are going to be right to the right of the elevator. Please come in. Come see us. Let us help you. The reason why you spend all this money in tuition is for services like the Career Center. We are here to help you. Please make use of us. The more that you engage with us, the more that we can help you, the more successful you're going to be not only in your job shadow day, but in your entire career search. So again, making the most out of your day, treat this experience like you would a job interview. Collect business cards from every single person that you meet. Again, it could be the receptionist, could be the office manager, could be the CEO. Get everyone's business cards. If they don't have a business card on them, ask them for their contact information. What I would encourage every person in this room to do is email your host site a thank you email afterwards. That way, they know that you were engaged. They know that you cared about that day that you spent with them. Thank them for the time that you had together and encourage them to continue the conversation past that day. One of the attachments that you're going to receive in the email following completion of the presentation is a sample thank you letter. Again, this is meant to be a sample. You don't have to follow it word for word, but this should give you an idea of what you want to do in that email correspondence as you thank them. One thing that I would also challenge everyone to do is, especially to your host, follow that email up with a nice handwritten thank you email. Or not thank you email, thank you note that you physically mail. The wording can be very similar to the email that you sent, but those thank you notes go a long way. I can promise you that that thank you note will be very meaningful. People typically don't get thank you notes anymore in today's world. Even if you don't have good handwriting, still send that thank you note. Your host will keep that on their desk. They will remember who you are, and when you apply to an internship or a job through them, they're going to see that note and they're going to remember who you were, and they're going to be very appreciative, and they will follow through and hopefully interview you because they at least remember who you are. That's the power of networking, and that's an extra step that I encourage everyone to do. And after all this is done, have a reflection. The reason why you're doing this is to learn what it's like to work in that industry. Find out, did you like what you see? If the answer is no, that's okay. As long as you were professional during that day and you took it all in as an educational experience, you might not like that industry. You might not find that you like that employer. If that's the case, come see us in the Career Center. We can talk through what you didn't like and maybe schedule a host off of this program for a different job shadow so you can get another different experience. Maybe we can look to see if there's other majors that have a better interest that you should be looking at. Whatever the case is, we hope you enjoy yourself, we hope you have a great experience, but if you really reflect on this and find you don't like this industry, let us know that we can help you hopefully find an alternative. And leave with a positive impression. We talked about the thank you card already. Some other things that you can do is if it's a company that has some social media, maybe you leave a positive tweet thanking them. Maybe that selfie that you asked permission to take, you could post on the Instagram thanking them for their day there. Connect with everyone you met on LinkedIn. This is a very important thing. Reach out to everyone that you met, every business card that you got, every handshake that you made. Connect with these people on LinkedIn. Don't use the canned message on LinkedIn. Put a nice personalized message, even if it's only 10 words, thanking them, reminding them that you were at the job title, connect with them. That way you can keep that conversation going. And always follow up. Even though this is a one-day event, keep in this person's world. At some point you will want a job, you will want an internship, you will want to make use out of this network. Keep the conversation going, always be active, reach out to them in a timely fashion. Maybe you wait a week, maybe you wait 2 weeks after your job shadow, after you send that thank you email. It's okay to wait a little bit, you don't want to send them an email every single day, but make sure they remember who you are and be proactive in reaching out. And again, visit us. We're the Career Center. We're here to help every student of every major, every class level. I don't care if you're an undergraduate student or a graduate student, arts and science, business, health sciences, we're here for everyone. Schedule an appointment with us or come in during walk-in hours, our open hours every day, again, 1 to 3 p.m., Monday through Friday. We're located in Founders Hall, new business building on campus. If you look at the elevator, look to the right, and you'll find our office. That's everything I have today. If you have any questions, since you did this virtually, feel free to shoot an email to either Deborah or I, and we will help you with whatever your questions are. Thanks for your time.